All right, welcome back to week 2 of our MLB draft previews. This week we are tackling the AL West. Today we've got a really interesting team, a team that, for better or for worse, is pretty hard to guess and predict where they're going to go in any given draft. We've got the Oakland Athletics. Jeff, Oakland, they're tricky. They don't spend a lot of money. They go in a lot of different directions. They tend to go for athletes. Last year, Tyler Soderstrom falls in their lap. They go with an athletic pitcher in Criswell a little bit later. 2019 was Logan Davidson. 2018, of course, the Kyler Murray saga. Where do you see Oakland going this year? They've got some guys coming off of their books in the next couple of years, you would assume, so they're going to have to restock the cupboard.
Absolutely. And I think that, that's one of the things that we have to sort of focus on with Oakland, that they might be a team that is more inclined, based on some of the recent picks, to take a shot on a guy that maybe has a slightly lower ceiling, higher floor, might be able to get, to the majors a little bit quicker. Just from the standpoint of reinforcements, they are still a competitive team. But on the other side of the coin, they do chase athletes. We have seen them chase upside. Even a pick like Logan Davidson a few years ago, though he was a college player, is a guy that I think, a lot of his draft stock was buoyed by potential upside and power projection in that 6'3" frame that was athletic, that certainly could add some good weight. We know they went after Kyler Murray, took a big chance there, and that flopped. So I think what we can pull is they do like upside. There's some needs close to the majors. And, the other part of it is they're not scared to take some chances. So this might not be a bad draft for them. It depends sort of who drops into sort of their lap, sort of the back end of that first round. There could be plenty of arms there. There's going to be some athletic outfielders with upside, and there's going to be some arms there potentially that could be relatively short to the majors, even if it's in a bullpen role. I know that, when we had done our mock draft, or forthcoming mock draft might have been released by this point, we had actually mocked out to them a college shortstop in Trey Sweeney, who has a lot of upside, is athletic, kind of fits that mold a little bit of Logan Davidson, but probably with better production, albeit in a smaller conference. So I think he sort of fits that mold. There's also going to be arms available at that point that they could potentially go in that direction. It could be somebody that even like Lonnie White they go after in terms of that upside, that outfielder sort of profile that they might chase. And there's arms like Cusick, Will Bednar might be available there, Doug Nikhazy, that I think do all have some upside and might be a little bit short of the majors depending upon what type of role you put them in. So there's a lot going on there with Oakland. Joe, what are your thoughts on the Athletics? I know you sort of echo a lot of the stuff I said, but any other names that you would potentially look out for besides the names that we've already mentioned?
Yeah, I kind of think you hit the nail on the head. They're going to be tricky. They could go for Lonnie White or Joshua Baez. I think both of those guys make a lot of sense. Their system, for a team that could be losing Matt Chapman and Matt Olson in the next couple of years, their system doesn't. They're not chock full of bats, right? They've got Nick Allen on the way. You and I both really like Nick Allen. I think we would both agree that Tyler Soderstrom is at least 2.5 years away. And then as you go down the board a little bit, you got Logan Davidson, you got Robert Wilson, Greg Diekman a little bit down the list. But these are not guys that you expect to come up and kind of anchor a lineup. So that's why we mocked Trey Sweeney to him. Sweeney can play third base. He can play second base. He can play left field or first base. They'll find a role for the bat, and he's one of the more impressive college bats in this class. But like you said, they'll go for upside. They'll go for value. I think White and Baez make a lot of sense. I think guys like Andrew Painter make sense. I mean, they haven't been afraid to go like Jeff Criswell last year with a big prototypical starter type body, and you get value in seeing Painter drop from where he was projected a potential top 10 pick 9 months ago to now probably a better fit in that 20 to 40 range. So, yeah, I think they could go a lot of directions. What interests me with the Athletics, I think more, might be where they go with their second and third pick, because last year they went with Criswell. We know that they were interested in Chris McMahon before Colorado selected him. I think a guy like, if you see Tommy Mace fall down boards a little bit, I think Tommy Mace he is cut from the Athletics cloth. I could see Will Bednar being an option if he's there at 24. And then, as you go further and further down the board, you got guys like Nikhazy, like you had mentioned. I think a guy like maybe Josh Hartle out of North Carolina, or even grabbing a guy like Jaden Hill or Ryan Webb in the second round. These are the types of names that I expect Oakland to chase. Those high upside, could be impact player type roles at the big league level. So they're going to be an interesting team. And I think whoever they take, we're certainly not going to know until the second that the name comes off the board. And that's generally how Oakland operates. Is there anything else that you want to hit on with the Athletics? Anybody else that kind of comes to mind, maybe deeper in the draft, or anything you've heard or seen from scouts at local area games?
No, I actually have not seen a huge presence from Oakland, at least here locally in the Northeast. Typically they're pretty heavy on the Cape, and you would run into them a lot there. And maybe that would give me some direction. I guess some other names you could probably throw out there. Maybe even like a Carson Williams. I don't think Christian Franklin, frankly, is all that far off from sort of what their cloth is. Even Judd Fabian to a degree. And I think that sort of fits into the upside thing, them taking a chance on a college hitter who maybe had some production in a big conference, but some question marks as well regarding the hit tool. Logan Davidson, Kyle McMahon, another guy that, a couple of years ago had an absolutely massive year for Georgia Tech hitting for power. And him and Davidson are both in Double A now. So, relatively close to the majors. It wouldn't shock me if, Franklin or Judd was potentially in the plans there or in the cards. And I think, if you go a little bit further down the board, maybe Michael McGreevy might be somebody that fits their mold. They tend not to be overly analytical and focused on sort of pitch shape and some of those things. They do like guys that move a certain way and throw a lot of strikes. So they probably fit in with that mold as well. And I think you probably, mentioning Painter and I mentioned Cusick, but they've gone after some taller starters, like you mentioned with Criswell, and they have, I think Brian Howard's in their organization as well, who's like 6'8", 6'9" as well. So they have some big arms. They've gone after guys like that before. It wouldn't be a total shock. But I think we summed it up pretty well in terms of looking at Oakland's approach to the draft and the type of arms and type of position players that they go after.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for Oakland. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. Again, this is AL West week, so you can expect a whole week of the West Coast. So talk to you tomorrow.